attack. When you supposed to talk in our country? I can't talk about flipping Rhoda and Andrew Holness. Who gives a rat's ass? Who cares? We not care. We are concerned about the 1.6 trillion Jamaican dollar we cannot be found. We are concerned about the flipping illicit six. We are concerned about the teachers who are dying.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to this channel once again. There's been this video that has been going and trending online of a Jamaican man named Marvin, who is speaking with serious anger about the direction of the country under Prime Minister Andrew Holness. So guys, I want us to watch this video until the end, because afterwards I'll be back with more reactions. And as you watch, remember to hit the likes button, comment and tell me what you think about what he's saying. Thank you.
Jamaica, let me ask you one question. Yeah? So I sit on the Star where Rhoda, the MP, Central Manchester, nice young lady, based on where we meet the eye, right? And you're telling me that no, it is a big talk and a big discussion all over. The newspaper and everybody are waste quality time to talk about what? An alleged relationship between Andrew Holness and Rhoda, and all the fact that Juliet Holness I give her a cold shoulder. With all due respect, I don't give a rat's ass as to who Andrew want there with, or who Mark Golden want there with, or who Rhoda want there with. We don't care. We don't business with that. There are far too much important things in the friggin' country for us to be majoring in those minor things. We don't give a rat's ass. Who want there with who have found a business? I am concerned about the fact that there's a rapid global shift in how we trade. The BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, BRICS, go do no research. 97 countries will be joining the BRICS. Jamaica is not a part of that. Why? Because the US dollar a crash and nobody not talk about it in the damn sitting. Nobody in the flipping country is talking about this thing. You have a big old fat one from over nationwide. Who him sit down every day like some big old mama lashy. A gossip about garbage. When him should be the one talking about these things and what the government should be doing. When the Ministry of Finance should be protecting the Jamaican people from something that is coming by now on September the latest. I am not a financial advisor. I am not offering financial advice. Everything is for educational purposes. Yeah? But I am very much aware as to what is happening. The news did about una promote them news. Una still a try to hang on to the dirty banking system that we have here. That has failed the Jamaican people miserably. People money are going missing like a nut in your NCB on an attack. On an attack, say cryptocurrency is now the order of the day, and point Jamaicans to this open market where some of these people can take a little much of them off, go trade and turn it into much more. But you cannot do that because of the monopoly. Where you play with the Jamaican people them. Where you want them to come out and look at dirty bank. Where now protect the people their money. On an attack. When you supposed to talk in our country? I can't talk about flipping Rhoda and Andrew Holness. Who gives a rat's ass? Who cares? We not care. We are concerned about the 1.6 trillion Jamaican dollar we cannot be found. We are concerned about the flipping illicit six. We are concerned about the teachers who are dying. Sudden deaths. And the Ministry of Health is quiet. While focusing on a flipping focus. And who? On the Ministry of Health? Because he get liquor off a bicycle? Wow! It is so coincidental that Mr. Valiant, who is one of the most popular Jamaican, loved and respected by the ghetto youths them because of his craft and his talent, It's so coincidental that at a time when the country should be focused on matters of importance, you lick him off. You utter everybody on bicycle, you lick off Tufton. Off a bicycle. Bicycle. You lick him off and then break him wrist and it becomes news and everybody is saying flipping well wishes. We want to know about the genocide that has been committed against the Jamaican people them. Christopher Tufton need to sit down in a courthouse in front of some judge, some serious people who are ready to ask, what made my mama dead from this thing where only force if we take? 20% of Jamaica took the stinking dirty vaccine. And our teachers are dying. And nobody wants to talk about how they died. And the families of these people refuse to ask for independent personnel outside of the country to come and do proper autopsy on them people. Why make them dead so sudden? Because we want to know. AstraZeneca was removed from the flipping market because now we know that we who were talking, we're not telling you say, that's something not right. We don't force it upon we. You, Christopher Tufton, tell the people them say, if you don't want water, take a vaccine. And Jamaicans are pretend like you don't know. Let me tell you this, you know. Yo, you see me? Me telling you already, you know. Me telling you, you know. Them people here in a government don't mean no good, you know. And people keep wondering, why am I so angry? I am angry because me grew up in a good yard. Where we learn to love and respect everybody. And they care for me Jamaican people them. And to sit and watch how politicians constantly rob and rape we. And kill half the people them. We would like to talk about the medical apartheid that was committed on 20% of Jamaicans. You hear me telling you? The mass genocide. Don't shove it on the freaking carpet. You think a little place to go and we have to put our mask and rubbing alcohol every freaking day upon our hands till some of our hand dry out like chip? Because I want to tell you how dangerous COVID was. Where is it now? I want to collect it in one buckle. Where there? Where COVID there? Where is it? Where is there? And we should just pardon no. We should just forget about it. And Jamaicans busy at talk about who for party if you go back in the power. Una talk about who for party if you go back in the power. And this, let me tell you this, you know. Let me tell you this, you know. Let me tell you this. I'm gonna wake up. I'm gonna wake up. You see, by now in September, this is my prediction based on my analysis of what's happening globally with the rapid financial shift. Me say, yo, you see the pandemonium we're gonna break out in Jamaica. On a watch a joke. You think politicians not have them passports and here much of them have dual and triple and triple citizenship? And maybe quadruple citizenship? Them can fly out here anytime. Any flipping time. You see the rest of us can't leave here, sir. With the 290 odd active gang according to the Ministry of National Security that is here. When them man they hungry and start kick off on the door, all who can protect themselves, protect on themselves. Anybody who can left us, left us. You see, uno politician, you see when the people them ready for uno, your thing say is Molotov bomb, them are go fling over Garden House. And look at that. Today, Juliet Holness, you had the audacity of talking about how no one instantly, with immediate effect, advance security at Garden House. But the many Jamaicans who are being robbed and raped, and the fact that we have Jamaicans going missing by the minute. More than 2,000 Jamaicans go missing per year since 2018. That is a report that came out of the Ministry of National Security. When you go doing a research, over 2,000 Jamaicans go missing every year. We never know. 151 children went missing last year. Out of the 151, 34 were girls. 134 girls. Already for this year, we have a number of Jamaicans who have gone missing and nobody can talk about it. We're not talking about these things. When you get up and talk about Rhoda and Andrew and Juliet and a family kind of video them, you don't want to share, you don't want flipping share. hear because you don't want to hear the truth. You get up over there and chat about freaking gossip every goddamn day. You don't want to talk about these things. Jamaicans are about to go into a state of shock. The US dollar is going to be dying a horrible death by now. And September, the latest, can't sound never year. The BRICS are going to release them dollars. 97 countries will be joining the BRICS, and Jamaica is not one of them. Why would 97 countries be joining an organized body that is bent on de-dollarizing the US dollar? You don't know nobody talk about this. So I want to send people, I want to find people. Let me tell you something. You see me, I mean one and God mark. I want to send them, whoever I want to send them. Watch a joke in this country. Watch a revolution where we are start here, so. No.
Thank you very much for watching until the end. So guys, this man came out and he's talking about the economy, healthcare, corruption, foreign control, missing people, and he's basically saying Jamaica is not prepared for what's coming. Now, instead of reacting emotionally, we are going to break this down point by point, because anger can either be noise or it can be a warning sign. So Marvin starts with global economics. He mentions BRICS rising and suggesting the US dollar could crash, that Jamaica is not positioned for this shift. Now, here's the reality. Global trade alliances are shifting. Because of all this, Jamaica needs to diversify its economic relationships enough to protect itself long term. It's a very fair question. Small nations tied heavily to one major economy can be vulnerable. That's strategic thinking. He accuses the banking system of failing the people and suggests cryptocurrency as an alternative. Of course, corruption concerns should always be taken seriously. But of course, we all know that crypto sometimes can be volatile, lightly regulated, and can contain high risk. So while distrust in institutions may exist, we can all look forward to some more practical solutions. The real issue here might not be crypto but public trust. And of course, Marvin talks about teachers dying suddenly and hospitals lacking medicine. If hospitals are under-resourced, that is very serious. If citizens feel there is a lack of transparency from the Ministry of Health, it creates suspicion. Healthcare systems in many developing nations face staffing shortages, budget constraints, and very many supply chain issues. So nations needs to be alert about this. And of course, there was a point about education system decline. It's a very strong point because no country grows without protecting education. If funding is weak in schools, if outcomes are slipping, it affects national development. Education is long-term power. Marvin is strategically thinking here, highlighting this. It's not radical. Now, for the Chinese investment and sovereignty is where the emotion rises. China has invested heavily in infrastructure across the Caribbean, including Jamaica. Foreign investments, of course, can build roads, create jobs, improve infrastructure, but it must benefit locals long term. So the real question is not, is China taking over? But the real question can be, are these arrangements structured in a way that strengthens Jamaican citizens? Tax incentives for foreign investors are common globally, but citizens have the right to question whether locals are benefiting equally. It's not xenophobia, it's accountability. When he mentions missing children and rising cases, it really shifts the tone. Public safety is foundational. If citizens feel unsafe or unheard, that's a serious governance issue. Crime and missing persons statistics must be addressed with transparency and policy, not silence. Of course, some people may say Marvin sounds extreme, but underneath the emotion, there is a pattern. There's distrust, fear of dependence, fear of mismanagement, and the fear of being left behind in a changing world. He is not mad. That is anxiety about national direction. When citizens start speaking loudly, it usually means they feel unheard quietly. Now, I want to hear from you. Is Marvin exaggerating, or is he saying what many Jamaicans are thinking? Just say what you are thinking in the comments. Or do you think this frustration is being amplified without enough evidence? Let's reason in the comments. Keep it factual, keep it respectful, because countries are built on informed debate, not silence. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, stay safe.